Welcome to Nucleus, the podcast covering America's top leaders in business and culture. I'm your host, Tripwire. Today on the show, how one visionary leader transformed Google into a trillion-dollar tech titan. Google just lost $100 billion in market value. In one day, one demo, one mistake. February 2023, Sundar Pichai rushed Bard, Google's answer to ChatGPT, onto the stage. The AI chatbot confidently stated that the James Webb Space Telescope took the first pictures of a planet outside our solar system. Except it didn't. That honor belonged to the European Very Large Telescope back in 2004. Astronomers noticed immediately. Investors panicked. A century of market cap gone before lunch. Here's the thing, though. That spectacular failure tells you everything about the impossible position Pichai's in right now. The guy who built his entire career on patient, methodical execution suddenly had to move fast and break things. And when Google breaks things, the whole internet watches. Because let's be real, Sundar Pichai runs the company that organizes humanity's information. 3 billion people use Google search every day. Chrome owns 60% of the browser market. Android powers 70% of smartphones globally. YouTube is the second largest search engine on the planet. When Pichai makes a decision, it ripples through how billions of people access knowledge, communicate, and exist online. But the man himself? He's the anti-Elon. No midnight Twitter rants, no flamethrowers, no calling people names on earnings calls. Pichai's superpower is being the guy you'd never notice in a room until you realize he quietly maneuvered himself from a 2-room apartment in Chennai to running a $1 trillion empire. And right now, in March 2026, he's fighting the biggest challenge of his career. OpenAI and Microsoft are taking shots at Google's search monopoly, the golden goose that prints 80% of Alphabet's revenue. Regulators in the US and Europe are circling with antitrust suits that could literally break up the company. And internally, he's managing 150,000 employees who've gone from don't be evil idealism to existential crisis. So how did a metallurgical engineer from India who couldn't afford a phone until he was 12 become the guy defending Google's empire? Let's rewind. Pichai grew up in Chennai in a tiny apartment where he slept in the living room with his brother. His dad was an electrical engineer at a British company. His mom was a stenographer. They didn't own a car or a TV. When Pichai was 12, his family finally got a rotary phone, and he memorized every number he dialed. Still can recall them decades later. That's not a party trick. That's how his brain works. He crushed it at IIT Kharagpur, one of India's most brutal academic competitions, less than 2% acceptance rate. Then Stanford for material science on scholarship. His father spent an entire year's salary on the plane ticket to send him to America. Think about that weight. Your whole family's financial security riding on your success. After Stanford and an MBA from Wharton, Pichai did the consulting thing at McKinsey, then joined Google on April 1st, 2004, same day Gmail launched. His first project? Google Toolbar. Not exactly sexy. Most people saw it as a defensive play against Internet Explorer. But Pichai saw something else. Distribution. Control the toolbar, control how people access the web. Then came the move that changed everything. 2006, Pichai pitched Larry Page and Sergey Brin on building a web browser. Their reaction? Why do we need a browser? Firefox exists. Internet Explorer exists. We're a search company. But Pichai understood platform dynamics. Browsers were becoming the operating system. If Microsoft controlled Internet Explorer, they controlled the gateway to search. If Mozilla controlled Firefox, Google was one partnership away from irrelevance. Chrome launched in September 2008 with 1% market share. Today, over 60% globally. That's not just winning, that's obliterating the competition through patient, strategic execution.
Building a new product? Temez Labs takes you from napkin sketch to the App Store. Trusted by Fortune 500s for quality, security, and speed. Book your free strategy session at temez.ai.
Here's where it gets interesting. Pichai didn't showboat. While other Google executives fought for attention and credit, he just kept shipping excellent products. Chrome, Chrome OS. Then in 2013, when Andy Rubin left Android, Pichai absorbed mobile too. Suddenly, he controlled Google's web platform and mobile platform. He'd quietly become the most powerful product executive in the company without anyone noticing. Larry Page definitely noticed. When Google restructured into Alphabet in 2015, Page made Pichai CEO of Google. 4 years later, when Page and Sergey Brin stepped back entirely, Pichai became CEO of Alphabet too. The founders handed him the keys to the entire kingdom. But here's the brutal truth about inheriting an empire. You don't get credit for what's working. You only get blamed when things break. And under Pichai's watch, things have broken. Google Plus flopped. The company's messaging strategy is a mess. Hangouts, Allo, Duo, Messages, Chat, pick your poison. They've fumbled social networking, hardware market share, and arrived late to cloud computing, despite having the best infrastructure on the planet. Then there's the culture challenges. 20,000 Google employees walked out in 2018 over workplace policies. Pichai faced controversy with engineer James Damore over a memo about diversity, sparking both internal revolt and external backlash. AI ethics researchers Timnit Gebru and Margaret Mitchell left amid public disputes about academic freedom and corporate control. Project Maven, AI for military drones, caused internal chaos. Project Dragonfly, a censored search engine for China, leaked and employees revolted. Every controversy forced Pichai into an impossible position. Keep employees happy or keep the business growing? Maintain Google's idealistic culture or professionalize into a mature corporation? Move fast on AI or carefully consider ethics? There's no right answer, just different ways to make everyone angry. And now, ChatGPT. OpenAI's chatbot proved that conversational AI could threaten search itself. Why click through 10 blue links when an AI can just answer your question? Microsoft smelled blood and integrated OpenAI into Bing. Suddenly, Google faced the first credible threat to search dominance in 20 years. Pichai's response? That disastrous Bard demo. But here's what's fascinating. Google actually had the technology first. They invented the transformer architecture that powers ChatGPT. Their researchers literally wrote the paper, "Attention is all you need," that created modern AI. But they were too cautious to release it publicly, too worried about accuracy, bias, misinformation. They had the gun, but wouldn't pull the trigger. OpenAI had no such hesitation. They shipped ChatGPT knowing it would hallucinate, make mistakes, and cause problems. And they won the narrative. Google looked slow, out of touch, scared. So what can we actually learn from Pichai's journey? 3 things stand out. First, the quiet competence strategy. Pichai never played internal politics, never leaked to the press, never took credit from teammates. He just consistently delivered exceptional products and built trust with the people who mattered. In Google's engineering-driven culture, product excellence earned more respect than charisma ever could. This compounds over time. 1 great product is luck. 10 great products is a pattern. Eventually, your reputation becomes unassailable. Here's how you apply this. In organizations that value substance over style, stop worrying about who gets credit and focus obsessively on results. Solve the problems other people can't solve. Build relationships quietly with decision makers. Let your work speak louder than your self-promotion. This doesn't work everywhere. Some cultures require aggressive self-advocacy, but in technical, meritocratic environments, it's devastatingly effective, especially if you're playing the long game toward leadership. Second lesson, platform control creates strategic leverage. Pichai championed Chrome when Google already dominated search. People thought it was redundant, but he understood that controlling the browser meant controlling how billions of people access the internet. Same logic with Android. Own the platform, own the ecosystem. Own the ecosystem, own the future. This connects to what Harvard Business Review calls platform strategy. Creating the layer that others build upon generates compounding returns and defensible moats. Chrome became the default way people browse. Android gave Google mobile dominance. Both generate massive strategic value beyond direct monetization. For your business, ask, what's the platform layer in your industry? What do others depend on to operate? Can you own that infrastructure rather than just building applications on top of it? For your career, same question. Can you become the person, the relationship network, the knowledge base that others depend on? Platform thinking applies at every scale.
Oh, hey, friend. Do you like what you're hearing? Now you can have a ridiculously amazing podcast, too. Check out holler.studio to get yourself one today.
Third, your outsider perspective is a competitive weapon. Pichai grew up without basic technology in India. That shaped how he thinks about emerging markets, accessibility, and global expansion. He didn't forget those insights when he got successful. He weaponized them. Google's focus on the next billion users, people coming online for the first time in India, Africa, Southeast Asia, came directly from Pichai's understanding that most humans don't have fast internet, expensive phones, or unlimited data. Whatever made you different, your cultural background, your socioeconomic experience, your geographic origin, that's not baggage. That's strategic intelligence about markets and users that others miss. The tech industry has a bad habit of designing for affluent San Francisco residents and assuming everyone else is the same. Pichai's outsider lens helped Google avoid that trap. Let's bring this home. 3 quick takeaways. 1. Patience is a competitive advantage when everyone else is optimizing for speed. Pichai spent years building Chrome's market share while competitors gave up. He's investing billions in AI infrastructure that won't pay off for a decade. In a world of quarterly earnings pressure, long-term thinking is genuinely contrarian. 2. Consensus building works when problems are complex. Pichai's collaborative style frustrated people who wanted faster decisions, but it built organizational buy-in that enabled execution at massive scale. Not every situation needs a dictator. 3. Platform control beats product features. Own the layer people build on, not just the application they use. Chrome wasn't better than Firefox initially, but controlling browser distribution gave Google strategic leverage that product quality alone never could. Here's the bottom line. Sundar Pichai proved you don't need to be the loudest person in the room to end up running it. But being quiet doesn't mean being passive. He made calculated bets, built strategic platforms, and played the long game while others chased short-term wins. That Bard failure? It's not the end of his story. It's the moment a patient builder had to learn to move fast. And honestly, that might be exactly what Google needs, because the empire he inherited is under siege, and sometimes you can't consensus build your way out of a difficult situation. The question isn't whether Pichai can manage Google's past. It's whether he can invent its future. We're about to find out. Thank you for listening to Nucleus. You can show our podcast team some love with 5 stars and a follow. Stay hungry, stay foolish.
Grep News. Tamez.